It seems that some liberals have their pennies in the bunch because America removed Maduro from Venezuela. But the Venezuelan people are happy. Let's get to it.
Welcome back. Video obtained by Fox News of former Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro in DEA custody there on your screen as he arrived in New York City yesterday evening. Time now to bring in our Sunday panel. USA Today White House correspondent Francesca Chambers, host of the Guy Benson Show on Fox News Radio, Guy Benson, Fox News contributor Richard Fowler, and George Washington University law professor Jonathan Turley. Thanks to all of you. We're going to dive into the politics of all of this real quick, Jonathan. I want to ask you from a legal perspective. We just heard the president yesterday, Secretary Rubio yesterday, General Keane laid out now a path looking forward for Venezuela, where if the United States is not in agreement with the interim president, the administration may very well look to remove her from power, as well as a host of other cabinet officials in that country. Can the U.S. really do that?
Yes, both practically and legally. When the president says we're going to hand this over, sort of the new Gitmo policy, give it to Marco, because there's a rumor that he's sleeping 3 hours a night. So he has a little bit of
He needed another job.
Another job, right. But the fact is that this is squarely within the previous case of Noriega in terms of the law enforcement aspects. And they really ramped that up by having law enforcement personnel in the extraction team to put him under custody, take him to New York. That seems to be iron-plated, and I don't think Maduro is going to be any more successful than Noriega was. Now, in terms of the aftermath, yeah, presidents are allowed to regime change, to engage in nation building. You can't have a judge that says, I'm not going to allow that. That's within the Article 2 powers of the president. You can object to it. You can say that that's not a policy we should pursue. But absent some countervailing act by Congress, and I'm not even sure they could go very far on that, I think that he's in a good position. It's been done before.
Yes, it has. And there's also something called the Monroe Doctrine, where America feels that any country in the Western Hemisphere that doesn't play ball, they could kind of go in and do regime changes and stuff like that to help the interests of the American people. And so we have situations like this. Do I feel that this should have been done a long time ago? Hell yeah, I do. And I understand that some liberals might be upset about it, but we have to be very careful because you have countries like Venezuela who, like, the people are in shambles. All right. I have a friend who lives in Guyana, and she tells me that you have Venezuelans that's coming into the country in Guyana, and the pay in Guyana is already low. They're coming in and they're taking even lower pay because they're not having any jobs in Venezuela. So, this is a good thing for the Venezuelan people, and it can possibly be a great thing for America because now a lot of the oil reserves that's in Venezuela can be tapped, and America can make money off of that, which would benefit the American people. Let's get to it.
Guy, here's Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on X yesterday. She writes, "This is not about the drugs. If it was, Trump wouldn't have pardoned one of the largest narco traffickers in the world last month. It's about oil and regime change. And they need a trial now to pretend that it isn't, especially to distract from Epstein and skyrocketing health care costs." That is a zinger. What do you say?
That's a pitiful response. You should talk to the people of Venezuela or the Venezuelans in New York, with the diaspora of Venezuelans celebrating all across the world. With the fall of this regime,
True.
Maduro was never the president of that country. He's an illegitimate, or was an illegitimate dictator. And I look forward to the day, hopefully soon, that the Venezuelans will have self-determination. What an achievement by our military, another flawless operation. I think politically, Jillian, the American people are willing to see the military leveraged for overwhelming uses of power, for military strikes and missions like this, so long as they are discreet, limited, and not open-ended nation building and that sort of thing. And we've seen that as a hallmark of Trump foreign policy going back to the previous Trump administration, and of course we've seen it vis-a-vis Iran and Venezuela here. For the Democrats, it's just bizarre. The Biden-Harris administration offered a $25 million reward leading to the capture and arrest of Nicolas Maduro. And now
True.
Democrats seem to be objecting to, and the DNC is fundraising off of, being angry about the arrest of Nicolas Maduro.
True. You see, this is where I would say that liberals kind of like show their hand and look foolish because what he just said is right. All right. They did put a bounty on this guy. All right. Trump fulfilled it. Said, listen, you know what? He's a dictator. We're going to remove him so that we can make moves for Venezuela and we can make money with Venezuela. This is mainly money moves. Okay. That's all it is. All right. If Venezuela was just a poor country that really didn't have a lot of resources, we wouldn't even be talking about Venezuela. All right, because we see already that there's a lot of South American countries or a lot of countries around the world that have dictators that does not have resources, and America does not even want to touch it with a 40-foot pole because we can't extract anything from it. That's the way it works. All right, liberals have to understand that you can't have, your cake and eat it too. Right? You cannot say that you don't want kings, you don't want dictators, but you don't mind seeing dictators in other countries. You have to be willing to do what needs to be done. And that's why I like Trump, and sometimes I get on Trump when he does something foolish or I feel he does something foolish. But this right here, this is a great move. All right. And tell me in the comment section if you feel that this was a good move. I do, but I really want to hear from you because I feel that you guys are great. And I want to just take this time to thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you watching up to this point. I know your time is valuable, but you're spending it with me. Thank you. If you haven't already, please like the video, make some comments, and subscribe to this channel. All that good stuff will help us out continue to grow on this YouTube platform. Let's get back to it.
It is completely incoherent and unserious as
We
usual.
have that email from Ken Martin at the DNC, if we can put it up on our screen for our viewers. Richard, is this whole Venezuela operation, as AOC says, just a distraction from the Epstein files and the healthcare cliff that Republicans face when they come
Maybe.
back?
I wouldn't go that far, but what I will say, where I agree with Guy, is that the American people do like swift, accurate military actions. What they don't like is the ideal of nation building. And so I think the question, what Trump sort of left open yesterday in his press conference, is America will run Venezuela, right? And the last time we heard that, while we know this is not Iraq or Afghanistan, was we heard George Bush say they'll greet us as liberators and the oil will pay for it. And we now know both of those statements are not true. So the question for the Trump administration is, how do you do this in a world in which the American people were around for that and they don't want that again? On top of that,
Did you hear any answers yesterday?
no, did not hear any answers on that. And I think the other thing here too is when you think about now this enters our court. Now I think if this was another Justice Department, I would say this is a slam dunk, and I would agree with Jonathan Turley. This Justice Department has some trouble with these blockbuster cases, whether it's Letitia James, whether it's James Comey, whether it's the turkey sandwich hoagie guy here in Washington, D.C., where they couldn't land a misdemeanor case. So now there's a lot of questions on how this administration will handle the aftermath of a perfect operation yesterday. And I think that's why Democrats are asking questions.
He has a very good point. He has a very good point. We can't say that that we're going to run Venezuela. We are not in the business of nation building. Okay? You had a swift action, pull them out. What I feel should happen is we should allow people to run for whoever president, whatever cabinet, whatever, so that the Venezuelan people can properly choose leaders. Not having someone installed, not having a vice president that was under Maduro, because that's basically just you're chopping off the nose in spite of your face, something like that. Or basically you're saying that, well, okay, we have the bad dictator, but we have dictator light. No, what we need right now is to make sure that the Venezuelan people have the opportunity to choose their leaders. That's it. That's it. Maduro, as they said, was a legitimate president. The people didn't want him. He's removed now. Cool. Let's do what needs to be done. Let's say a little bit more.
What do you say to that, Francesca, this idea that there is virtually zero appetite among the U.S. military, among voters, for another foreign war with no end point in sight? In this case, maybe not a war, but, you break it, you buy it.
Well, the president has been receiving some pushback from some of his MAGA supporters, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is one of his former close allies, as well as other Republicans and Democrats in Congress. But with respect to the foreign war aspect, I mean, we're already in Venezuela now. The question, as we go back to what Richard was saying, there's many open-ended questions. How do they plan to get to this judicious transition? Who is going to run the country in the interim? And going back to the question of the oil, the president says, and administration officials have said that this is, something that American blood, sweat, and tears have went into, and that America should have access to this oil. Okay, which oil companies are going to go in and rebuild the infrastructure? And then who is that money going to go to? Is it going to go to the American government, those companies? How much of that is going to the Venezuelan people?
He's right about that. Who's it going to go to? Is it going to go to just the companies, and the companies are going to enrich themselves and maybe select politicians who were taking underhand deals with those companies? They're getting rich and stuff like that. Is it going to go? Is money going to the American government? Is it like how is that going to be done? We really want to make sure that this is a smooth transition. I don't know how it's going to play out. The way I feel it should play out is that we should support companies going in there, making sure that the infrastructure is being built, making sure the oil is coming in and a lot of the resources is coming in for America, but also for Venezuelans. And not only for Venezuelans, but for a lot of the countries in South America, because you want to make sure that you don't get people upset about the things that you have done. You want people to say, hey, look, jobs are here, money is here, and now we can be able to rebuild and be able to focus on making sure that our country is great. That's what needs to happen. And also making sure that we have trading partners so that we can make a lot of money. Okay, that's one thing that I'm about. I'm about making money. So if we going to do it the correct way, we don't want to be seen as people who are just trying to take control. We want to be seen as people who are making sure that you can be able to run it yourself. That's how I look at it. And hey, I want to hear from you guys. I just want to say something. She is very, very beautiful. And I love seeing beautiful women doing their thing, being journalists, being people on news feeds and stuff like that. I really like it. But like I said before, I want to hear what you got to say about this one here. I feel it's a good thing. I really do. And I feel it's a good thing for the Venezuelan people. I talked to my friend in Guyana, and she said she feels it's a good thing as well. So only time will tell to see how well it will play out for America, how well it will play out for Venezuela, how well it will play out for the world. But liberals, listen to me. This is not a game that you are going to win. You should just be quiet. Don't say anything because it'll make yourself look bad and it'll make the Republicans look good. And next thing you know, when it comes down to the midterms, the Republicans are going to turn to this. And if it's successful, you won't have a leg to stand on and you will lose in the midterms. But like I said, let me hear from you. I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Really appreciate that. If you haven't already, please like the video, make some comments, and subscribe to this channel. All that good stuff will help us continue to grow on this YouTube platform. Thank you for watching. Be safe. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Peace.